beautiful game of golf. A poignant metaphor for life. A battle against the forces of nature and the self.
And to Dad, it's his favorite relaxation.
Golf remains one of the greatest tests of control. To block out one's emotions and achieve a psychophysical harmony that maximizes precision and power. Stick and ball games have existed for centuries, but what we now know as the modern game of golf originated in Scotland during the Middle Ages. It spread throughout the United Kingdom, the subsequent Empire, and the United States, booming in popularity throughout the world in the late 19th century.
And the home of the game we have given to the rest of the world is St. Andrews, the royal and ancient, the parliament of golf, and the pilgrimage of its disciples, called ancient because it is ancient, and royal because if you can find all the burgesses of St. Andrews on its members' roll, you can also find the names of kings.
Invented on the windy, undulating, harsh environment of the east coast of Scotland, often referred to as wasteland, golf began its transformation into the industry it is today. Worth over $80 billion. Ben Hogan, Sam Snead, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, and Arnold Palmer are some of the most iconic golfers ever to grace the sport, all having a part to play in its progression. But no golfer, or even sportsman, has had an impact on any sport as much as Tiger Woods. Through Tiger, the sport reached unimaginable heights. He diversified the game that had a long history of being associated as a white sport. Not only did he influence the background of golf, but the game itself, bringing unmatched power that ultimately had devastating consequences. The blueprint for arguably the greatest golfer the world has ever bore witness to was being drawn before his very existence. In the modern game, psychological and physical toughness are the key attributes to succeed. In a sport reliant on precision, where 1 centimeter is the difference to victory, control of one's emotions is paramount. (1932). Earl Woods was the youngest of 6 siblings and grew up in the racially divided state of Kansas. By the age of 13, he was being raised by his sister after his mother and father had both passed away. As a star baseball catcher at Kansas State University, Earl had the ability to enter the major leagues, but rules prohibiting black players in the league disintegrated his dream of playing professionally. Vietnam. Feeling like it would be the only place that would accept him as an equal, Earl joined the Green Berets in 1960. Serving 2 long tours in Vietnam, the second as a member of the elite United States Army Special Forces. Allegedly involved in demolitions, Earl planted explosives deep behind enemy lines. Only psychological and physical toughness would allow Earl to, as he puts it, escape death more times than he can remember. A mentality he programmed into the future world number 1. Earl met Kultida while in Thailand and settled down in California, having retired in 1974 at the rank of lieutenant colonel. According to Earl, golf was a metaphor for life. I have experienced my share of birdies and a few eagles. Yet it seems I have encountered more sand traps and bogeys than I care to recall. And as I walk down the 18th fairway of my lifetime, I hold my head high and make no apologies for the decisions and statements I have made. I have been a survivor, a living testimony that others like me can beat the odds, withstand the cruelties, indignities, and setbacks that life can offer. December 30th, 1975. Tita gave birth to her only child, and from an early age were molding him to their vision, inputting their own initials into his name. Earl and Clotilda named their son Eldrick. Eldrick assumed the nickname Tiger, a reference to Earl's wartime friendship with an officer in the Vietnamese army. Only 10 months in, Tiger picked up his first club. Word spread of a prodigious talent, and before the age of 3, Tiger appeared on national television. 1978, The Mike Douglas Show. Appearing on his television debut alongside his father,
How about a putting contest with Mr. Hope? Can he putt too?
Oh, yes.
Okay, we'll let him putt first.
Why don't you try?
the future golfing great squared up for a putting contest against comedian and avid golfer Bob Hope.
You got any money?
Displaying a natural rhythmic swing unbefitting of someone as young as Tiger. From entering the stage enthusiastically to looking nervous at times on camera, the contrasting emotions provide an insight into the mindset of the young prodigy.
This man right here.
What is his name?
That life, according to his father, was his destiny.
Looking good, brother. Get that golf swing going. Get that golf swing going, bro. Root for you, Tiger.
Weird. You're used to this, aren't you? Oh, you never get used to this. Really? I guess what I do remember is my first trophy I ever won. I was 3.5 years old. I came in second in a pitch, putt, and drive contest for like a little peewee division, like a 9-under thing. And I just remember the trophy being as tall as me. So that was one of the coolest things. I still have the trophy at home.
By his 7th birthday, Tiger had already achieved a milestone most golfers could only dream of, sinking his first hole-in-one. 1984. Earl entered his son into the youngest age group available at the Junior World Golf Championship. At the tender age of just 8, Tiger won the 9 to 10-year-old competition. That year, Tiger broke 80, a feat that, according to data from the National Golf Foundation, would today put an 8-year-old Tiger Woods in the top 5% of golfers. Tiger went on to win the Junior World Championship 6 times, growing in confidence with each victory, departing himself from the shy, timid 2-year-old that had once captivated the nation. According to Tiger, it was hard work and a competitive spirit that helped him overcome the problems he encountered. For Tiger, adversity was a challenge to overcome, whether it's facing his stutter or racial prejudice. Revealed in 2015 through a letter sent in response to a boy who'd contemplated suicide, Tiger wrote, throughout his premature career, Tiger encountered racial discrimination. Eyewitness accounts from the Navy Golf Club where Tiger and his father would play exposed the underlying bigotry that existed throughout society, from being questioned whether he paid for items to being kicked off the driving range, all on the basis of his skin. Tiger had breached the trench of the heavily white-dominated sport. What didn't break him made the phenomenon mentally tougher.
No, we got over it. Goodbye. Stay on the green. Stay on it.
At 15 years old, Tiger broke another record, becoming the youngest ever winner of the U.S. Junior Amateur Championship, a victory he replicated the following 2 years. No budding golfer has won the championship 3 times, let alone consecutively. 1994. The future trailblazer replicated the astonishing achievement, this time winning the U.S. Amateur Championship 3 years in a row, whilst also becoming the youngest winner, a record that remained for 14 years. By now, Tiger was breaking every race and age barrier presented to him. As Earl had envisioned, his son was on the path to embody a cultural phenomenon, not just a sporting one. To him, Tiger was going to transcend the sport, possessing the power to have a fundamental change on humanitarianism around the world. Tiger's mental toughness instilled in him from a young age helped carry the burden of what must have felt like the whole world on his shoulders.
Don't eat them all up, Dirk. Save some for us. Come on, Tiger. No, I don't want that thing. Want the biggest one? Yes, I want the biggest one.
While enrolled at Stanford University as an amateur golfer, Woods began his hunt for majors. His first attempt at the Masters proved unsuccessful, but became the only amateur to make the cut. Far from reaching the potential his father had in mind, Tiger pulled out of college to commit to his profession, though his one regret was leaving college too early. What transpired next altered the landscape of the golfing industry forever. August 1996. Once the golfing prodigy turned to the game professionally, he almost immediately put pen to paper on the most iconic athletic endorsement deal in the history of the sport. Tiger partnered with Nike and Titleist, reportedly earning $60 million over a 5-year period. At the time, the contracts became the most lucrative endorsements in sports history, this time breaking the record books without a club in hand. Other endorsements, including everything from cars to banks, through Tiger came a commercialism unwitnessed in golf prior.
I want to say I made a difference. I want to do more.
Partnering with Nike gave Tiger the platform to realize his father's vision. According to Earl, he was only put on this earth to nurture and mature the next greatest figure in history, not just in the sporting world, but socially, on a par with the likes of Mandela and Gandhi, truly believing that his son was the next Messiah. Earl was in no doubt his son was going to be a bridge for humanity over the racial divide that he himself had experienced in the 50s.
There's nothing better than stolen strawberries.
With a multinational company involved, Earl lost much of the control he'd had over Tiger's career.
Talk about sweet.
Tiger stole the show, winning 3 of his first 9 starts as a pro. There is no doubt that Nike signed Tiger on the basis of his prodigious golfing talent, but one marketing campaign highlighted the racial divide throughout America. To Nike, Tiger was an asset that, similarly to his father's vision, could breach the divide. Unable to exploit the same athleticism and strength that fellow Nike endorser Michael Jordan and basketball displays, Nike released the controversial Hello World campaign, aimed at exposing the inclusivity of golf, referenced in the context of racial segregation. April 1997. Augusta National, the Masters. On a course that has a long history of racism and classism, from rules only allowing black caddies to prohibiting black players from even entering before 1975, Tiger showed he had something to prove. Going into the third day with a 12-shot lead, he overcame the racist remarks that echoed around the infamous course to become the youngest ever winner at 21 years old and broke the record for the largest win margin. Since the win, Tiger has been credited with bringing the sport to a more diverse audience that in turn brought further wealth into the golfing industry. Golf had entered a new era. In the following decade, Woods made just shy of $770 million. That year, Tiger reached new heights, setting the benchmark for the quickest ascent to number one.
He's incredible, great phenomenon, great for golf.
He's just a sensational player, and as you say, a phenomenon. And a nice young fella, and I think he's doing everything the right way. He handles it very well.
I think it's good, and on the other hand, well, it makes us work harder.
It's an honor and a privilege that people think that highly of you. And if you're a role model, doesn't matter if you're a school teacher, police officer, or even a parent. If you're in a position to influence people in a positive way, I think you're very lucky.
Played so well, winning the Masters as he did by 12 shots. Youngest player ever to do that. Of his 23 starts, he's won 7 times. It's beyond belief.
The poster boy for a new multicultural America took issue with being categorized as just African American. In an interview that drew backlash, Woods disclosed to Oprah what he had identified as during his childhood. Coming from a rich ethnic background, Tiger didn't want to deny his mother's Asian heritage. His response provided an insight into the mentality of the world number one. Unrestricted by labels, he recategorized himself to his own belief. A similar ethos he used for his golf game.
Can we get this straight? What do you call yourself? Do you call yourself African American? I know you are. Your father's half black, quarter Chinese, quarter American Indian, mother's half Thai, quarter Chinese, and quarter white. So you are. That's why you are America's son.
Yeah.
You are America's son.
A little funny thing is, growing up, I came up with this name. I'm a Cobblinasian.
A Cobblinasian.
Caucasian, blue, black, Indian, Asian. Cobblinasian.
Golf is basically a microcosm of life. It's amazing that the full array of emotions that one person has to go through in one round of golf. Also, all the things that they have to endure just to become a good player. Dedication, practice, patience. They have to deal with frustration, letdown, excitement, agony. I mean, all these things, and they have to be able to handle it. And if they can handle it on the golf course, there's no reason why they can't handle it in society and in their lives.
Having witnessed a gap in society's care for the youth, Tiger took it upon himself to effect change. Tiger and Earl founded the Tiger Woods Foundation, aimed at empowering and supporting underprivileged students to achieve what Tiger achieved, their own dream. 98.7% of the students graduate, one of the highest graduation rates across the states.
Oh, that's a marmoset.
What was it like through the years doing these clinics? How did you feel doing this type of work?
I felt very good inside, you know, because I have a talent, and my talent's golf. And it's amazing the smile these kids get when they see someone their age, or maybe in my case when I first started, younger than them, being able to hit the ball the way I do. And you know, they play the game, or they never tried the game, say, ooh, you know, if he can do that, I can do it. And it gives them hope that they can play something that you don't have to be physically built like a football player. You don't have to be physically gifted in that regard. All you need to do is just have a club with some dedications, and off you go.
1998. Tiger established the Tiger Jam, a way to collect more charitable donations. Not only was the foundation aimed at raising money for educational purposes, but also for exposing golf to the younger, more diverse generations, to further dismantle the taboo of exclusivity within the industry.
Well, obviously this is a very big night for us. It's something we've never done before. I never thought in my wildest dreams we'd be doing this soon and to this magnitude with the quality of people who will be performing. Our Tiger Woods Foundation is now spread out to the point where we're moving, we're growing, and at a pace that's pretty quick, and we're doing some things that are very unusual in our sport. Right now, first off, we started by trying to help out inner city youths in the game and try and get them started, give them another opportunity to play a sport, which is, historically have denied them access. And we're actually moving past that now. We're actually going on beyond golf, and we're now into a realm in which we're now helping kids with education. It teaches them priorities, and education is definitely a priority, and it always should be a priority over anything else, and including sports. So that's where we're headed towards. We're moving, we're growing, as I said, and we're expanding, and it's a beautiful ride.
We're also addressing parent-child relationships and trying to improve the understanding and the cooperation that exists between a parent and a child. Ultimately, what we'd like to do is to break these cycles. And you know what they are: the welfare cycle, the abuse cycle, and it goes on and on. And we feel strongly that if we can influence the relationship that exists between a parent and a child, we can effectively neutralize that cycle. And we're thinking in terms not of just locally, we're thinking in terms of worldwide. We're trying to reinstitute hope and dreams in the inner cities.
1999. Following a trophyless year, Tiger underwent laser eye surgery to correct his severely myopic vision. The successful operation put Tiger back in contention for the majors. With his vision restored, Tiger achieved the unimaginable. June 2000, the U.S. Open. Woods walked up the 18th hole, 15 under, to complete what Sports Illustrated called the greatest performance in the history of golf. The record-breaking 15-stroke win margin smashed the archaic 1921 record of a 9-shot lead and remains unbroken to this day. Now at his peak, Tiger went into the British Open and PGA Championships with confidence.
I'm gonna go out there and try my best, and it's just kind of neat having it at St. Andrews because I think, in my opinion, this is the oldest championship. I don't see why they don't play it here every year.
Well, he hasn't done so well in Scotland before, so I don't think it'll be him.
I think he's so much pressure on him now to do to make the Grand Slam. I think he'll have too much on his mind to win it.
If he hits his form, I don't think anybody will beat him at all. Just think he'll be tops.
His strength, precision, and mental toughness were unmatched. The 3 consecutive major wins left many to hope and believe in the unbelievable, to secure all 4 majors in a row. Tiger's approach to the physical aspects of golf fundamentally changed the tactics of the sport. Woods brought peak fitness conditioning to the game that had been jokingly touted in the past as just a good walk spoiled. Gym training had never been part of a golfer's preparation. The core strength, control, power, and torque he displayed in his swing was unwitnessed in golf prior to his arrival. Tiger's ability to strike the ball further sparked debates surrounding his direct influence on the sport. For some, Tiger was detrimental to the game and had diminished the competitiveness between players. At his peak, Tiger was unplayable. Stats showed that players played better without Woods in the competition. In an effort to reduce the advantage that powerful golfers possessed, iconic courses throughout America began to increase the yardage of holes, quicken the greens, and add more obstacles, doing all they could to level the playing field. Was that going to stop Tiger? April 2001. The Masters. Tiger proved to the world that he was the best. The Tiger Slam, as it was coined, consisted of winning all 4 majors consecutively. Although not in the same year, his achievement remains unequaled. Off the course, Woods continued to write his name into the record books by signing a 5-year endorsement extension with Nike, worth reportedly $100 million. Appearing on everything from cereal boxes to car and bank advertisements, Tiger quickly became the most marketable athlete in the world. Since 1998, Tiger has put pen to paper on lucrative deals with EA Sports. Not only was he seen on every broadcast and billboard, kids and adults alike could now embody their idol in digital avatar form. His influence on bringing golf into the mainstream and more accessible than ever is undeniable. As his bank accounts grew, so did the distance between him and his father. During the 2001 British Open, Tiger was introduced to the woman he would later propose to, Ellen Nordgren, model and nanny of fellow golfer Jasper Parnevik. Barbados, October 2004. Hunted by the paparazzi, the couple recited their vows in a lavish sunset ceremony. But privacy for arguably the most influential sports star alive is hard to come by. As his trophy cabinet grew, so did the intrusive nature of fame. Woods looked to rebound following a lackluster year that saw him end his record streak of 264 weeks at number 1. (2005) The Masters. Woods produced a masterstroke that sent Nike directors into ecstasy. The almost impossible shot gave birth to one of the most memorable Nike marketing campaigns and helped secure his 4th green jacket.
Oh my goodness.
Commercial placements during the final round amounted to roughly $250,000. Nicknamed the $1 million shot, every time the logo paused for 2 seconds on the lip of the hole, every time Tiger's chip on 16 was replayed, the company earned the equivalent of $16,666 worth of ad space and amounted to $1 million of free publicity over the whole tournament. The shift in emotions in the months to come pushed Tiger's mental toughness to the limit. May 3, 2006. The life of the man responsible for molding and manufacturing the greatest golfer the world has ever seen came to an end. Earl Woods suffered a heart attack following a 6-year battle against prostate cancer.
My father's meant to me as a parent, as a friend, as a mentor. All the things that he's contributed in my life. After his passing, I think this is the best way to honor him. My father's been instrumental in getting this foundation started from get-go. Been absolutely monumental in its growth around the country, his speaking, the clinics, hundreds of clinics we've done, the books he's written,
all the kids that he's influenced, it's been absolutely remarkable. He was all about helping others, and you know, I think about it every day. How can I become a better player, a better father, a better husband, a better friend? That's what my dad was all about. It's not like I can pick up the phone and call him and say, "Hey, Pop, you know, what do you think about my putting stroke?" Those days aren't here anymore. So you got to come to terms with it and understand it. It's just not there, and I have so many wonderful memories that I look back on it with smiles every time.
As it left the club, 67 to finish for Tiger.
No doubt, in memory of his father, Tiger returned to winning ways. But his reaction to winning the 2006 British Open unveiled the fragility Earl's death had caused.
He is the champion golfer of the year. And there's emotion there because I'm sure he's thinking of his father and how much his father would have loved to have been here and see him winning in this way.
I wouldn't say it's been a great year at all. From the golf standpoint, yeah, it's been nice, but it's been a very sad one. And that's if I remember anything about 2006, it's more than anything, it's loss. I lost my best friend, and so from that standpoint, it's been a tough year. One of the things my dad always taught me is that if you put a lot of effort into it, you're going to get results. But if you don't put any effort into it, you're not going to get any results out of it. But more importantly, you don't deserve any results. And one of the things that my dad always did when I was growing up, he always kept it competitive and fun. And I love to compete, so he kind of just always fed upon that. And my whole goal, my entire childhood, was to try and beat my dad. You know, golf has now become a global sport, and it wasn't necessarily the case about 15, 20 years ago, but it certainly has broadened. We're playing World Golf Championships around the world, and I think golf is the new global sport, just waiting to explode.
You were quoted as saying that you wanted to quit at the top. You've got a few more majors to win before that, I imagine, but so we're going to see Tiger around for a few years yet.
Yeah, but I think that's the best way to go out is obviously win a tournament and go home. I've always said that I won't play this game, and if I know my best isn't good enough anymore, if I play my best and I can't win anymore, there's nothing wrong with stepping aside and let the next generation play, and that's the evolution of all sport.
Woods continued his philanthropic ventures and celebrated the 10th anniversary of Tiger Jam.
It's been pretty amazing those 10 years. We've helped 10 million kids. We've had donate over $30 million. We've got 4.5 million kids in a Start Something program, so it's been pretty amazing. We've done, I never would have dreamt that we've been able to do this much so soon. Never would have, foreseen, the impact we could have had. And, right now we're just getting started. It's been 10 years, but still, I think this is just the beginning. The great thing about the Learning Center is the kids get to create their own curriculum. They were basically bored in school. I mean, we all were. And none of us really liked a lot of the classes we were taking. We didn't think that they were pertinent to what we were going to do in life. But these kids wanted to learn something that they thought they can incorporate and use down the road. So, hence, we have the subjects of CSI, forensic science, making CDs, recording engineering. We've done some pretty neat things, and then these kids, I think it was like 15 or 16-year-old, explained to me how we built this rocket, and that to me is just amazing. It teaches kids a blueprint to success, how to plan, how to basically build towards something that they want to accomplish. And that's something I got lucky that my father instilled in me, and he wrote the book on it, and hence that's where we got the Start Something program. But it's basically how I was raised, and how to plan, and also the achievements you make, even though they may be small and minor, they're still achievements, and you gotta celebrate them.
Though he continued his dominance on the course, the power exerted into every long-range shot began to take its toll. 2008, the U.S. Open. Tiger's most unlikely victory. Woods entered the Open with little practice and suffered a left knee injury that left him swinging in pain throughout the week. His body was at the breaking point. Despite the setbacks, Tiger achieved the unimaginable, winning the first hole of sudden death, following an 18-hole playoff, beating everyone on one leg. Following the major, Woods was forced to undergo immediate knee surgery, leaving the golfing world to question whether he'd return to his former glory. The injury sustained during the U.S. Open was far worse than feared, embellishing the feat even more. Woods was resigned to sit out the remainder of the year. Golf was missing something. His absence from the circuit proved disastrous for the sport. Viewership severely deteriorated throughout the period Woods was recovering. It exposed the real influence Tiger brought to the sport. 2009. Everyone waited with bated breath for the return of the world's first professional athlete to earn over $1 billion throughout his career. Tiger was now the second richest person of color, behind Oprah. February. Woods started the year on a high, welcoming his only son, Charlie Axel Woods, into the world, unaware of the media storm on the horizon. By the end of the year, the National Enquirer had accrued a vast catalog of Tiger's comings and goings throughout Vegas and New York. The tabloid company had amassed a reputation of defaming the famous. Tiger was next. In the years prior, Woods was known to frequent the cities that never sleep, places where his wish is the venue's command. November 25th, the National Enquirer published the story that kick-started the demise of the icon's career, alleging that Tiger Woods was in the midst of an extramarital affair with Rachel Yucatel, who at the time worked as a nightclub hostess. Though the pair were seen together and followed at the Australian Open, both denied the allegations. The accusations marked the first major headlines he'd received outside of the sport he'd dominated for so long. Tiger was firmly in the eye of the media storm.
What's your emergency?
I need an ambulance immediately. I have someone down in front of my house. They hit a pole. I came out to see
Is it a car accident, sir?
November 27th, 2:25 a.m.
Sir, is it a car accident? Hello?
Hello? Yes.
Is it a car accident, sir?
It's a car accident, yes. I need you, yes.
Okay.
Meters from his house, Tiger is heard crashing his SUV, plowing through a fire hydrant and into a tree.
I have my neighbor, he hit the tree.
What happened?
Is anyone able to open it?
The former world #1 was rushed to a nearby hospital. With the public fearing for his well-being, no one had anticipated it was just his reputation that was on the line. Explaining the shattered rear window, Ellen told police she used a golf club to smash the glass in an attempt to get her unconscious husband out of the car. November 29th. Having been unavailable 2 days in a row, police attempt to finally interview Woods about the crash, but received limited time, fueling the rumor mill. Turbocharged by the tabloid press, Tiger's private life was now America's favorite drama. He featured on almost every news bulletin and front cover in the country. December 2nd. Claims of a second affair with the golfer are revealed in an Us Weekly article. The floodgates opened. By the end of the saga, over 14 women claimed infidelity. The squeaky clean image was now stained.
Probably thought he was a better guy than he is then, and I would probably just have to apologize to her and hope she uses a driver next time and then a 3-iron, I would say.
Companies began to cut ties with the newly damaged poster boy of world golf. Accenture were hurt the most and cut ties with Tiger almost immediately. The company's old advertisement slogans took on new meanings following the scandal. The affairs were rumored to cost the shareholders of companies affiliated to Woods up to $12 billion. December 11th. Woods announced he's taking an indefinite break from the game. America has always had a secret obsession with seeing those at the top fall. Was Woods another victim? February 19th. Woods put rumors to rest in a meticulously managed press conference.
Elin and I have started the process of discussing the damage caused by my behavior. As Elin pointed out to me, my real apology to her will not come in the form of words. It will come from my behavior over time.
Broadcast to the world, Woods' infamous apology exposed the true trappings of fame. The act of having to publicly apologize to the world bared the burdens of being a global role model. Though he made mistakes, Eldrick Woods became a victim of the world's deification of arguably golf's greatest ever player. Tiger looked to overcome his demons, checking himself into a 6-week therapy program at Gentle Path in Pine Grove, a sex addiction clinic. Efforts to revive the marriage proved futile. After 6 years of marriage, Woods and Ellen divorced on August 23, 2010. Woods made his return to golf at the 2010 Masters. Tiger displayed the mental toughness his father had instilled in him, fighting through the negativity to secure fourth, taking another step on the route to restoring his reputation. Tiger proved the critics wrong, bouncing back from the scandal that had almost destroyed him, to reclaim his footing as the world's highest-paid sports star, earning in the region of $80 million. 2016, the 20th anniversary of the Tiger Woods Foundation. He continued to make an impact off the course.
To be honest with you, it's hard to imagine that, one, it's been 20 years and how far we've come in 20 years and the transitions we've made from being a golf-based foundation to now an educational-based foundation. It's just phenomenal. I mean, the amount of kids we've helped and the lives we've impacted. Initially, we thought it was going to be golf that was going to change their lives, but education is far more important and far more impactful. Even if they trip and fall, we're still there. You know, we're right there with them. We're making this leap with them, and I think that's the neat thing about what we've done is that we've expanded. Yes, we've helped a lot of kids. Yes, but we haven't left them alone. That once they're part of this family, they'll always be part of the family. I feel like I'm playing well. I just need to get some tournament rounds under my belt. I haven't played one tournament in the last, 18 months, 16 months. So I just need some tournament golf, and I'm really looking forward to it. I need to have my health at a state where I can prepare and getting my game ready to play at an elite level. And when I feel that way, and then health-wise, and I'm able to do that, I know I can shoot scores. And I know I can win golf tournaments. And there are points in time when I didn't know if I could ever swing a golf club again, play with my kids, do all the activities. There were some pretty tough times, and worked through it, and to have also the good days, and now to where I can compete again. I still have to go through a lot to for the rest of my life because of the procedures, but I'm able to get back out here and play.
Events the following year supplied the tabloids with ammunition. May 29th, 2017, 3 a.m. Tiger was found asleep at the wheel of a stationary car. Jupiter Island, Florida. Tiger pleaded guilty to reckless driving. He received a year of probation, was fined $250, and ordered to undergo 50 hours of community service along with regular drug tests. If anyone had the mental toughness to come back, both physically and mentally, it was Earl's son. 2019, the Masters. Tiger remains as the only golfer to have gone into the Masters with a fused back. Woods, unable to even stand up 2 years ago, displayed the mental resolve his father had programmed in him to achieve what many called the greatest career comeback in history. In winning his first major in 11 years, Tiger became the second oldest winner of the green jacket.
The large gallery sees Nicklaus still with a chance to make history. History in the making is what it is, as Nicklaus sinks his final putt for a 70 to beat Jacobs by 2 strokes. The first
3 years behind a 46-year-old Jack Nicklaus. With 15 majors in total, Tiger moved ever closer to breaking the infamous record of 18 held by the Golden Bear.
Getting myself into position to win the Masters was, it took a lot out of me. That golf course puts so much stress on the system. Yeah, it took quite a bit out of me. It was a very emotional week and one that I keep reliving. It's hard to believe that I pulled it off and I ended up winning the tournament.
When you look back at the last few years with exactly what he's been through with all the surgeries, there was probably only himself that thought yesterday was possible.
Perseverance and that ability to look forward is such a character trait of his. The personal issues, the injury issues, the length of time as well that we're talking about, it makes for a phenomenal achievement.
This year you've seen a very different side to him, and I hope he continues it because it's a new Tiger and it's a new one that we all like watching.
May 2019, the White House.
Today is my privilege to award our nation's highest civilian honor to one of the greatest athletes in the history of sports, Tiger Woods. He inspired millions of young Americans with his thrilling wire-to-wire victories. Tiger Woods is a global symbol of American excellence, devotion, and drive. As of today, Tiger has 81 PGA Tour victories, one behind the all-time record. Gonna catch that soon. He's won the second most major championships. He holds the record for most weeks at #1 in the world, more than twice as long as anyone else.
The United States is now proud to honor Tiger Woods, whose tenacity, willpower, and unyielding drive inspire us all.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. I've battled. I've tried to hang in there, and I've tried to come back and play the great game of golf again. I've been lucky enough to have had the opportunity to do it again, and I found a game that has allowed me to do this.
Back in a more positive light, Tiger pursued his search for major titles.
I made a conscious effort to cut back on my schedule to make sure that I don't play too much. I want to play here as long as I possibly can, and you have to understand if I play a lot that I won't be out here that long.
Japan, 2019.
さてタイガー・ウッズ選手、今もう皆さんね分かっていらっしゃると思いますけれども。あったかと思います。
Sorry.
真の出来もねすごく楽しみです。
タイガー・ウッズ選手、はじめまして、スケボーをやっている西村葵です。
Tiger revealed his intentions for the coming years.
As far as coming out and watching her in the Olympics, I need to make it first. Hopefully I can qualify and hopefully I can be here and represent the United States.
But tragedy struck. February 3rd, 2021. Rancho Palos Verdes, California. Fans waited nervously as news trickled through the airwaves that Tiger Woods was involved in another single-car accident. Traveling north along Hawthorne Boulevard, the car mounted the curb and rolled. Early morning breaking news revealed the extent of the damage. First responders pried him free with an axe and Halligan tool and rushed him to Harbor UCLA Medical Center by ambulance. The accident left Tiger with compound fractures. According to the sheriff, during questioning, Woods claimed he had no recollection of the incident.
The first thing to consider is that this is an open injury, not a closed injury. So an open injury, as you, I'm sure, understand, means that the bones were exposed to the outside air. So that means that there is an increased risk of infection. The second thing, reading this statement, is that he's fractured his leg at several positions. So it's not just 2 bits, it's in at least 3. And of course that can affect healing times. The other important thing is that they've had to do, as part of that operation, which you often have to, is to do an emergency release of the muscles in his leg. Now, that's unfortunately something that has to be done commonly, because when you have such a high energy injury, the bleeding into the surrounding muscles is great, and it can compromise the health and livelihood of those muscles. So you have to release them so they can breathe again. I think this is the beginning, tragically, of a long road for him. He had his 5th spine surgery about 6 weeks ago. So it's an absolute tragedy.
The story of little Ben Hogan, the giant killer, can easily be boiled down to a pair of character traits: persistence and determination. Well stocked with both, Hogan was to become one of the most feared competitors on the golfing links of the world. Starting out life as a natural left-hander, Ben was forced to change to being a righty for the simple reason that he was not able to afford a more expensive set of left-hand gloves. But obstacles like that to the contrary, Ben Hogan at the age of 28 in 1940 found himself as the leading money winner of the nation. That year, he had managed to garner a little over $10,000 in prize money. But it wasn't until 1942 that he was to win his first major tournament. With America at war, the annual Professional National Open gave way to what was known as the Hail America Tournament in Chicago that year. Little Ben, in the midst of such awesome opponents as Lawson Little and Jimmy DeMeritt, forged to the front with a fantastically low 271 strokes. An auto accident in 1949 found the mighty mite of golfdom in a hospital. Doctors despaired of his ever being able to walk again. But Hogan's determination found him on the links of the Riviera Country Club for the Los Angeles Open just 1 year later. At the age of 37, the Texas golfer was trying a comeback. No one will ever know the agonies that little Ben faced during the days of that important tournament. But he matched the others stroke for stroke. Nothing unusual about that, though. He had been battling overwhelming odds for as long as he could remember. When the 72 holes had been played, Hogan and Sammy Snead were tied for first place. Although little Ben was to lose the playoff to Snead, the moral victory was his. He had proved his doctors and the rest of the sporting world wrong. Ben Hogan, the giant killer, had returned to the link wars, a little bloody but still unbound. An accident that would have stopped almost any other man in his tracks had been taken in stride by the little man with a golf club in his hand. He fought his way back to the top of the athletes who strode the greens and fairways. Ben Hogan, truly a giant killer.
Can he make another comeback reminiscent of Ben Hogan? That accident left doctors fearing he may never walk again. Will history be repeated? Despite the endless negativity surrounding Woods' private life, he has undoubtedly had the greatest effect of any sportsman on any sport in the modern era. He single-handedly transformed the perception of golf, opening the industry up to a new wave of youth and diversity, in a sport famed for being archaic, white, and middle class. He forced a new approach to athleticism, driving the ball further and more consistent than ever. Few sports have solely been affected by one participant. His dominance even necessitated the implementation of measures to make the game more fair, a farcical idea in professional sport. Though mistakes were made, the commerciality and global influence he still possesses is hard-matched. Whether he is able to return to the tour or not, Tiger will remain an icon in the annals of sporting history forever.